Picture this. You check your bank account for the third time today. Your salary just came in. The numbers look fine, more than enough to cover your expenses. But instead of relief, you feel a tightening in your chest. A voice whispers, "What if it all disappears?" If this resonates with you, you're not alone. Millions of people live with an invisible weight, a persistent, gnawing fear of financial ruin that no amount of money seems to cure. Today, we're diving deep into the psychology of people who are terrified of being broke. Money anxiety isn't just about having too little. It's about the relentless fear of losing what you have. Psychologists call this financial anxiety or money disorder, and it manifests in fascinating ways. Some people compulsively check their accounts dozens of times a day. Others can't make purchases without calculating whether they could survive 6 months unemployed. Still others hoard money despite substantial savings, unable to enjoy a single dollar of it. What's particularly interesting is that this fear doesn't discriminate by income level. A recent study found that nearly 30% of people earning 6 figures still report constant anxiety about money. But why? What creates this psychological prison? The answer lies in 3 factors: early programming, trauma, and the architecture of our brains. Our relationship with money is forged in childhood, often before we're conscious of it happening. If you grew up watching parents argue about bills, or hearing "we can't afford that" repeatedly, your brain created a blueprint. Money equals safety, and the absence of money equals danger. Psychologists call this financial socialization. Children who grow up in scarcity develop hypervigilance. Their brains literally rewire to prioritize financial threat detection. It's a survival mechanism that becomes a cage. Some who grew up wealthy develop intense anxiety about losing status. The fear isn't about poverty, it's about falling. Then there's direct financial trauma. Maybe you experienced homelessness, or your family lost everything in a recession. These experiences don't just create memories, they create neural pathways. Your amygdala becomes hypersensitive. Your amygdala, the brain's fear center, becomes hypersensitive to anything that resembles a financial threat. A late paycheck or an unexpected expense can trigger a full stress response in your body. Logic often fails. You can tell yourself you're stable, but your nervous system remembers that time stability disappeared overnight. When you operate from fear, you develop a scarcity mindset. Your brain focuses on what you might lose. It's like running software that constantly uses 30% of your processing power. This leads to a cruel irony. So what does this fear look like in daily life? It manifests in specific behavioral patterns. First, the hypervigilant saver. These individuals save compulsively, but can never enjoy their money. They might have substantial savings yet feel broke because the number never feels enough. Every purchase triggers guilt. Every purchase, even necessary ones, triggers guilt and anxiety. They're running from a mental threat. Then there's the avoider. Paradoxically, some with money fear avoid looking at their finances altogether. Bank statements go unopened. Budgets feel overwhelming. This isn't irresponsibility, it's a trauma response. Looking at money triggers such intense anxiety that avoidance becomes a coping mechanism, even though it makes things worse. Perhaps most heartbreaking are the self-saboteurs. They finally get ahead, then make a decision that sets them back. Why? Because success feels unfamiliar and therefore dangerous. Their nervous system is calibrated to struggle. Then there are the overworkers. They work relentlessly, unable to rest because stopping feels like inviting disaster. They equate their worth with their productivity. Rest feels like weakness. Time off feels irresponsible. These aren't character flaws. They're survival strategies that overstayed their welcome. So how do you break free? First, understand that your fear is valid. It's not irrational. It's your brain trying to protect you based on past data. The goal isn't to eliminate the fear, but to update the data your brain is working with. Therapy helps tremendously. Cognitive behavioral therapy helps you challenge catastrophic thoughts. What evidence do I have? Have I survived challenges before? Financial therapy combines psychological work with practical money management. It addresses roots and symptoms. Building financial self-efficacy is crucial. Prove to yourself through small actions that you can handle money. Create a simple budget and follow it. Let your brain collect evidence that you're capable. Move toward comfort. Separate identity from net worth. Your value as a human has nothing to do with your bank balance. Intentionally untangle them. Build relationships where you're valued for who you are, not what you have. This untangling requires intentional work. Finally, practice enoughness. Define what enough actually means for you. Not society's definition, yours. When you know you're enough, you can work toward it rather than running from an undefined not enough forever. The fear of being broke is common, yet we rarely talk about it openly. We hide it behind hustle culture. But fear doesn't respond to achievement, it responds to healing. If you recognize yourself in this, you're not broken. You're carrying an old wound that made sense when you received it. With support, you can set that burden down. The goal isn't to stop caring about money. It's to stop letting the fear of losing it control your life. Freedom. Because you are not your bank account. You never were. Music fades. What's your relationship with money? Share in the comments below. Let's start the conversation.